I think the stat is 78% of athletes go bankrupt within 2 years. NFL players go bankrupt within 2 years after they retire. And you think to yourself, like, you made all this money, how did you not be smarter with it? Well, they never taught us in school how to manage our finances.
Yeah.
And how to save money and how to invest money. They don't teach you these things when all you care about is sports. So I didn't make that much money playing arena football. I made $250 a week, and we had food stamps. I was living in Huntsville, Alabama, and eating Chick-fil-A and whatever else I could eat from the food stamps. And so there was no money that I saved. My sister brought me in and let me crash at her house. It was supposed to be for about a month. A month turned into a year and a half, and she gave me an incredible gift. She said, okay, you gotta start paying rent after a year and a half.
This is the Rubin Report, and I'm still Dave Rubin. Friendly reminder, guys, to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click that pesky notification bell so that you might just see our new videos when they come out. And joining me today is a New York Times best-selling author, a business coach, and the host of the School of Greatness podcast, Lewis Howe. Welcome to the Rubin Report.
Oh man, thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you here. We got to get some simple stuff out of the way before we do anything. First off, I love that freaking jacket. I almost bought that jacket. I'm jealous about the jacket. That's like Han Solo modern. I love it.
It's clean, right?
It's clean. I want that jacket.
Just a little touch of like, the accents are super clean.
You put anything in there?
I don't, no.
I
should. I've only worn this a few times, so I should probably wear more. I put this on for you. I knew you were going to wear a jacket, and I normally just wear a black shirt.
Yeah.
But I was like, let me wear something a little bit nicer. We're an actual professional studio here. I had to dress up for
Well, you got a pretty professional operation,
it's
too.
Clean. It's clean.
I did your podcast in the midst of the lockdown. It's the only live, in-person interview that I did in the whole thing. We
shook hands.
Well, we fist bumped, and then we realized, let's just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
We actually shook hands.
And then we found out right afterwards that you hit the New York Times bestseller list for your big book. So.
It was in your studio that I found out.
The magic happens with us.
2 New York Times bestselling authors.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. All right, there's a ton I want to talk to you about, and I'm glad we're doing this because, you know, I do a lot of politics in here.
Yes.
I do a lot of culture wars and all that. But I think underneath all of that is a human thing that I think you are really excelling at the moment. So before we get into that, though, for the people that have no idea who you are, who is Lewis Howe? How the hell did he get that fancy jacket, and what's he doing here?
I'm a human being on a quest to discover more of myself, how I can become better, and how I can make a big impact on the people around me. And I've always cared about human performance. I've always just wanted to excel at the things I care about. I think from an early age, I did it to try to prove people wrong because I felt unseen, unheard, unliked, unloved by everyone around me. And even though that wasn't the truth, that's just how I felt. My parents were there for me, my older siblings were there, but I just didn't feel like I fit in a lot of ways. And especially in school, I was very dyslexic. If I even tried to read my own book, I'd probably struggle reading my own words that I wrote down just because I've always struggled with that. And I was in special needs classes from as long as I can remember. During recess and lunch breaks in school, I would be with tutors. So I didn't get to do a lot of the things that normal kids would do. And I just felt always insecure and insignificant in my abilities. And that kind of stayed with me. And I used sports as my after-school kind of program to say, what can I do if school is something I struggle in, where in high school they would, I don't know if they did this in your high school, but they would actually rank us in our class on our report cards. So I was always in the bottom 4 of the student class.
Like purely on grades?
They would like say like,
if
you're 100 students, I was like always 96 out of 100 or 100 out of 100 based on your GPA. So I would always see that number and dread it. Every quarter we would get our report card, and I'd always see them in the bottom 4. I never broke out of the bottom 4 in school. So it was just a very challenging time for me to think about it. And that's what we judged ourselves on in school growing up, was like, who can read faster, who's smarter, who got A's and who got D's. And so I used sports as my outlet to say, I'm going to become bigger, faster, and stronger than everyone else around me. I'm going to show them that I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of their attention, I'm worthy of being picked first, not being last. And I just put my energy into that. It made my dreams around that because I started to get really good at sports. And that became kind of my mission until I got injured playing football.
Then sports ends, and then that.
Then my dream, my identity, kind of falls apart because I got injured playing arena football. And I mean, this is in 2008 when it was the end of 2007. The economy was crashing. I remember I didn't have a college degree yet, as I left early to go play football, tried to make the NFL, wasn't good enough to make it. And I had no money. I had college debt that I was trying to pay off. I didn't have a job. And I remember trying to go on LinkedIn to find jobs in 2007, 2008, and no one was hiring people without a college degree in 2008, let alone with master's degrees. They were having a hard time getting a job. So I just remember saying to myself, what am I going to do? I'm sleeping on my sister's couch at this time for a year and a half, trying to figure out, one, who am I? I lost my dream. I lost the ability to work out at this moment. Everything I put my identity around to is gone. I have no clue what to do next. And this might be a first world problem, but for me, my identity was gone, and I didn't know who I was in the world or why I was even supposed to be here anymore.
How dark was that time? Because you hear this with athletes all the time, major pro guys that they blow out the knee and it's over, and then you find out that they're living on the streets 5 years later, or all sorts of awful
I think the
things.
stat is 78% of athletes go bankrupt within 2 years. NFL players go bankrupt within 2 years after they retire. And you think to yourself, like, you made all this money, how did you not be smarter with it? Well, they never taught us in school how to manage our finances and how to save money and how to invest money. They don't teach you these things when all you care about is sports. So I didn't make that much money playing arena football. I made $250 a week, and we had food stamps. I was living in Huntsville, Alabama, and eating Chick-fil-A and whatever else I could eat from the food stamps. And so there was no money that I saved. My sister brought me in and let me crash at her house. It was supposed to be for about a month. A month turned into a year and a half, and she gave me an incredible gift. She said, okay, you got to start paying rent after a year and a half. So that push finally got me to say, okay, I need to learn. If I'm not going to go get a job somewhere, I started truck driving for $250 a week. I was driving Napa car auto parts for 6 hours a day.
250 was your sweet spot.
250 is my sweet spot. I couldn't break that limit. So I was like, how do I get past this?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was also reaching out to people on LinkedIn, trying to find mentors. I was just trying to interview people personally and ask them questions about how do I achieve anything after sports. I just had no clue how to do it. And she gave me a great gift. She said, you've got to start helping and contributing to the rent. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I really was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I applied for a job on LinkedIn. I found a sports marketing job because I eventually graduated and applied for a sports marketing job. And I got an interview. It was my first ever interview that I got in applying for a job. And for whatever reason, I had my one nice sport jacket from like college. I dressed up and I'm leaving the house, my sister's house. I opened the door to walk out to the street, and I can't take a step out of the house. For whatever reason, I'm unable to actually leave the house and shut the door behind me. Because for whatever, I was either so egotistical at the moment or just believed in myself so much that I was like, if I go to this interview, I'm going to get the interview and I'm going to get the job. And they're going to hire me because I'm going to be so convincing that they're going to need me. And then I'm going to stay here for 2-3 years and I'm not going to enjoy what I'm doing. And then I'm going to feel trapped and stuck, and I just didn't want to go down that route. So that gave me the courage to say, okay, I need to go figure out how to make money on my own because I've never made a dime. I wasn't this entrepreneurial kid doing lemonade stands and selling baseball cards and making shoe accessories or whatever in school. I was just trying to play sports. And so I had no entrepreneurial bone in my body, but the necessity to just survive and be able to contribute to rent and pay for my own food as a 24-year-old at the time, 25-year-old, became apparent. And that was the push that I needed. And so I left my sister's house, moved to my brother's place, and started paying him, guess how much?
$250.
$250 a month in rent. And stayed there for about 6 months. And for whatever reason, that investment, even though it was $250, was a way for me to think, okay, how do I make $500 a month so I can get a month ahead? How do I make $1,000 a month? It just started getting me thinking differently because I was forced to. And that was 2009, and here we are now.
And then it's been an interesting 11 years.
It's been an interesting journey.
So you mentioned some of the growing up stuff and self-esteem. So I know it's not the most fun thing to talk about in the world. But you were molested when you were 5 years old.
Yeah.
Can you just break it down a little bit?
You know,
because I think it does sort of frame a lot of
it frames
the
a
way
lot.
you look at the world, obviously.
Well, 1 in 6 men have been sexually abused in some way in America, which I had no clue about these statistics until I started to open up about my sexual abuse and started to research it. I just thought I was the only boy that had ever been abused, and therefore I was worthless, I was helpless, and if people actually knew this about me, they would never love me. They would never accept me. People would laugh at me and make fun of me. That was the fear inside.
If you'd like to be inspired, motivated, and educated by some of the most successful people around the world, check out the School of Greatness full episode playlist right over here. And if you'd like to see Lewis Howe's interview with me, click right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.